Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. And before we jump into agenda items, I'm going to call Mayor Kathleen Clark forward. And then just knock the door. And to get prepared for the surprise that, I'm just kidding, we're going to leave for her to come.
Timing is everything, right?
Yes.
Come on up.
Connie, I don't think your microphone's on.
You are right.
Press it again.
I don't think there's yours.
Stop it and then press it again.
I don't
Hello,
think yours
yes.
is on either.
Just one time this time.
Thank you, Chair Hamilton and members of the Parks Board. For the record, my name is Kathy Clark, Mayor of the City of Keizer. Debbie, don't go anywhere.
She's busy.
Please, pretty please.
Don't want to stay on.
Many of our committees and commissions have been staffed by Debbie Lockhart for many years. Her expert hand and her attention to detail and her promptness in getting thorough materials to our committees are part of the formula for their success. And we felt it was very appropriate for us to take our time as city council members to come to one of the many committee meetings that she staffs to say thank you. But on top of all of the great work that she has done as a city recorder, I think many of us are aware of Debbie's love for history and the many kiosks that are around town and that bear Debbie's thumbprint of work and research and design. From the big toy to so many others, Debbie has left a mark on our community that will celebrate our history and tell the story of Keizer before we were a city to the present day, to generations to come. Therefore, it is my pleasure to announce that there will be a plaque installed here at City Hall that reads the following. This plaque honors the extraordinary contributions of Deputy City Recorder Debbie Lockhart for her dedicated service to establish the Keizer Points of Interest kiosk that speckled the city of Keizer. Debbie was Deputy City Recorder of Keizer from August 2003 to July 2023. Debbie took on the staff liaison responsibility, which turned into countless hours of research and writing to design kiosks and interpretive signage all over Keizer. These kiosks include the Old Keizer School, Keizer Christian Church, Claggett Cemetery, Spong's Landing, Keizer Fire District, Keizer's Flood History, Marie Dorian, Japanese History, the Art Walk, the Thomas Dove Keizer statue, 45th Parallel, and the donation land claim. Not on here, but what should be included is the big toy, which you named and worked as a captain for that construction project. The City of Keizer and the Keizer City Council extend their gratitude to Debbie Lockhart for her contributions to the community and the history of Keizer. Debbie, you have made a difference everywhere you go. I love your hard work, your creativity, and your determination to do things well. As a little side note, our flags are in better shape because of Debbie, who doesn't just repair them. She made sure she learned all of the appropriate flag etiquette to do it correctly for all of our flags. Council President Starr, would you like to add anything?
Debbie, thank you so much for your welcoming spirit, your graciousness, your servant heart to make all welcome to participate from the public to our committee members. You are so gracious in walking everybody through and helping keep us in line, really, and on track. And just know from someone who was new not too long ago and still feels very new to this whole world, your patience and your understanding and grace are so appreciated. And I know that I am not the only one who is the recipient of that. So know that you have touched so many people that have come through these doors and sat in this very chair and spoken to this microphone, and you've encouraged and just supported them through the entire process. So your mark will forever be here at the City of Keizer. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie. The real one is introductions, and you can have this one, you know what it's going to say.
Cute.
Thank you, Chair.
Awesome. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
You know what, there is another council, I think I'll let you call on your liaison.
may I, Chair?
Absolutely.
Thank you. As I consider the things that I wanted to say this evening, the first thing I wanted to say is you very seldom see Debbie without a smile. That's part of her welcoming feel. When I first donned her office and I asked a question, she looked up, and I'm sure she thought in her mind, well, that's a pretty stupid question, you should know that. But instead, she kindly helped me understand what it is I should be doing. She has accepted a challenge to fill all the committees. How often has that been done? Just now. Has that ever been done before where all the committees have been filled?
Well, when I first started with Volunteer Coordinating Committee, it wasn't. There were a lot of vacancies, but little by little, we've filled them. In the last couple of years now, I think we've had a full slate on all our committees.
Well, that doesn't happen all by itself. There's been somebody that's worked really hard and recruited people and helped people understand, here, go ahead and do that. Our city is where it is because of people like Debbie who go the extra mile and aren't afraid to step out and accept challenges and always do it with a smile. So thank you for what you do and the help that you've rendered to me.
Awesome. Anything else? Okay. Well, we are going to dive into our agenda. We're going to approve the minutes for June 2023. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
I second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Okay. Approval of the minutes.
Call for the roll, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry.
Call for the roll.
Oh,
Vote, sorry.
call for a vote. Oh my gosh, I did the same thing. I read the notes too. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. I'm abstaining. Katie is abstaining. Any other abstentions? No? Okay. Passes. Gosh, you cursed me. I'm sorry, it was my fault. I totally read into it. Okay, moving right along. Appearance, interested citizens who are wanting to speak. We have Susan and Butch. Are you gonna come and speak to? Oh, are you sure? Your new faces. Your new faces, if you'd like to come forward. No, you're just gonna Okay, perfect. Come on in, Susan. Susan Ramsdell. Wonderful. Well, welcome.
I spill my water or fall out of the chair or anything.
We accept mistakes. I just made a mistake in front of all of you and everything was fine.
Thank you, and I
So come
appreciate
forward. Welcome.
It's regarding Keizer Little League Fields,
Okay.
and this goes back to the beginning. First of all, Susan Ramsdell. I live at 549 Churchdale Avenue North. It's been my family home since 1952. My first husband was Bob Bevins and one of the original Dirty Dozen for building of the fields. And that became a family event. Everybody's involved, not just the guys. And at that time, my mother was in the end stages of her cancer fight. And it bothered her that there wasn't going to be a water fountain. She kept asking, well, where's a water fountain going to be? Long story short, when she passed that September, she had asked that in lieu of flowers, donations be made to the Keizer Little League Fields in her honor. So that's what was done. Bill Rumpf was the president at the time. They kept track and they gave me the names and addresses of people that donated. Did not know the monetary amount. And Ray Cox, another one of the Dirty Dozen, took it upon himself to build my mother a water fountain. And it was down on the third base side of Field 8. Beautiful bronze plaque was made in memory of Lucille M. Hoover for the children. A number of years passed, my kids have grown. My youngest son came home one night and he said, Mom, Grandma's water fountain's gone. And he said, and here's the plaque. Somebody had destroyed the water fountain. They claim they were told by the health department that it was not suitable. The memorial plaque had been thrown in the work shed. And my son said, well, that's my grandma and I want the plaque. I then took it to then Little League President Tom Bauer, explained it to him, gave it to him. We have no idea where it went. This has become a mission of mine. I want something done. I'm not used to having to do this. It was call up Keizer Little League and say, hey, we need to do this. We went and did it. So I contacted Tom. I reached out again and explained everything to him, what had happened. His response to me was that since he is out of the loop on that thing anymore, that what he told me was, since I've lost touch, I can make sure that happens. Let's do this. Think about what how you'd like the plaque to read. We'll get one redone correctly and place it out there at a spot of your choice. So my husband and I 2 weeks ago went up to the fields, not having any idea. I knew there was a memorial of some sort up there because it's got Mr. Pigsley's plaque on it. And come to find out, I took a picture. It is a water fountain. It's in horrible repair. There's bricks broken off the top of it. The spigot, I'm assuming it was taken off maybe during the pandemic to keep people from using it. I don't know, but it's not there. And so I thought, well, I've known the Walkers. I know they're your maintenance people or whatever they're supposed to be doing over there. And so we went from there over to the volcanoes because I knew that they would probably be there that afternoon. And I spoke with Lisa, explained everything to her, and she said, okay, forward me everything you have. This is something that Jerry, Mickey, and I will have to sit down and discuss. I understand it's a busy time for them. Not a problem. I know them fairly well. We had travel ball. My grandson played for them for a number of years. And so I gave her 2 weeks. And I sent her another email. And her response was, which is why I'm here tonight. I said to Lisa on the 10th, I said, if you folks aren't able to get me an answer due to your being too busy, please let me know and I will reach out to City Council. And her response was, I think that may be a good direction as we were not involved at the time of the committed monument. I don't know what she meant by that. And true, we are very busy. So you lucky folks get me. Tom is willing to take care, Tom Bauer is willing to take care of getting the plaque made. My concern that I had is because I know the lava dome is in the works and they're all talking about it. I just want to make sure that where we get the plaque and where we put it, that the lava dome or someone isn't going to come in and rip the fountain out and then here we go again. So I don't know. I do have a picture of the fountain on my iPad if you wanted to see it. Like I said, it's in disrepair. I assumed that since they were doing the maintenance, that they would have some idea as to what you folks are going to direct them to do with the broken fountain, but apparently I was wrong. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to start the conversation out by, we have had in the history of parks, memorials, and different things, and there has been challenges, and I'm just blanketing these statement. So depending on history, which I don't have, I'm not aware of, I just know that sometimes these things can get lost, and this is where it becomes really sensitive.
Yes.
Because you're coming with a memory of someone, and I'm so sorry that happened, and this is where we've been really delicate with some of these requests because we don't want to have this situation happen regularly.
No,
So
a number of people have told me I just need to let it go, and I can't do that.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that we can figure out a way to get around
Right.
this. We do need to gather some information.
Okay.
And I'm looking over to Robert because you probably have more history of this, or do you have any knowledge of this, or how that would look like, whose responsibility, or those types of things?
I don't have any knowledge other than what you've presented to us, but I don't see why we can't,
Okay.
come up with a area to replace the plaque. If we need to get a new plaque,
Because
we can do that.
I even went and checked, I volunteered over at the Heritage Center the other day, and they've got a whole Keizer Little League folder. And Rick Keene had done, in the beginning, he did a complete breakdown of the costs for the building of the fields. And there was a line item in there for a water fountain for $350. I've checked with him, I've checked with Bev Cox, Ray's passed away. And like I said, Tom was gracious enough to say, you know, we can get it done, which led me to believe he's going to take care of the cost of the plaque. I shouldn't assume anything, but that's what I did. And so now I guess I just want to make sure that wherever we put it, I would like to have it on that water fountain since she was so adamant about having, you know, water for the kids. If we could put it on that, but if that's going to have to be torn out or whatever they're going to be done with it, I don't want to waste the time and the money to put it back on there and then have it be for naught.
I completely agree. I am hesitant, I don't know what to do with this other than, can we identify a staff member to follow up and like
Yeah,
keep
I
us
can-
updated?
I can follow up. I'd love to maybe meet you on site and just walk.
Sounds great.
And, you know, get your thoughts, and then we can make a plan moving forward
Awesome.
as to how to meet that need.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're retired and not going anywhere, so
Okay.
that would be wonderful.
So I have your address, but I don't have your contact information. If you can provide that, we can make sure that the team has it,
sure.
and then they can reach out to you.
Sounds
Or
good.
you can totally chase after Robert too, either or, but I think that if you want, we can hand that over to the park staff and they can help out with that.
I can do that.
Wonderful. Well, I
Awesome.
hope that I see you around and you're excited about what happened in the future with this water fountain.
Oh,
So
yeah. Those fields became part of the family.
I bet.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
all-
can tell.
Yeah.
So thank you so
Lot
much
of
for
work.
bringing
Thank
that
you.
forward. Okay, Peggy Moore, come on down. Cue music. No? Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Peggy Moore, and I do live in Keizer. Tonight I'm representing the Peggy and Jerry Moore Community Garden. And so, last month at the June meeting, you voted to allow us $200 to buy flowers, which we did. We had that project done in a little less than 2 weeks. We were able to buy a lot more flowers than what we had planned on. So we had asked for flowers for 4 baskets hanging on the pergola, 10 small baskets that would hang on the fence. That's what our plan was. However, we not only did that, we had extra flowers for 2 more baskets.
Wow.
So I went and bought, with money that we saved here, I went and bought 2 more shepherd's hooks. So we had 12 small baskets, still had flowers, so we made 2 small pots, still had flowers. So we planted them in a flower box. So we have flowers everywhere now, and we're really happy. There's life and their beauty everywhere. So we wanted to thank you for your support. And I spent $193.59. Not quite my $200. If I had kept better check, I could have bought a couple more plants. But we did have one of the nurseries that gave us 20% off. So we saved $38.28.
Nice.
But I spent that back.
That's all right.
So, anyway, that's what we've been doing over at the garden. Everybody's grown broccoli and carrots, lettuce, all that kind of stuff, keeping it watered. I would like to say one more thing. I want to thank Robert for coming to Keizer United yesterday and giving a presentation on the Keizer Parks Department. He did a really good job.
Wonderful.
People were very interested. And Debbie, I'm going to miss you. Any questions? Good, thank you.
Peggy, have a great night. Thank you for being here. We have Carolyn and Tom.
Thank you. Carolyn and Tom Homan, Keizer residents. We're here to talk about the graffiti problem, and you have it on the agenda to talk about. And Tom brought up having a legal graffiti wall several years ago, I believe at Parks Board. And he's going to talk about his part, but at Debbie's behest, I did some research. And there are about, I think, 80 to 90 projects across the US, and they have legal graffiti walls worldwide. And I have a feeling there are more than 80 or 90 because I just know there's some small cities that probably have installations that are, you know, under the radar. And in fact, I was just in Craig, Colorado, population 10,000, and they have sanctioned graffiti on their public swimming pool. There's a large wall and then a separate little building, and they have graffiti and art on both of those. So, and it's very attractive. I sent Debbie a picture. Maybe you didn't get it. I was having a, yeah, I don't know. I had trouble with my email today, so I'll send it again. But anyway, there are projects on businesses, public spaces. One of the biggest is in Pueblo, Colorado, along the Arkansas River. It's 3.5 miles long on a levee. And they had to redo it, and I think they actually have an actual artist who did it because it's not like a wall where you can just stand there and do it. You're like, it's steep, and so I think they almost hired somebody to do that. But there's many of them in California, Austin, Amarillo, Texas, Menominee, Wisconsin, Tacoma, Olympia, and Vancouver, Washington, Painesville, Ohio, Narragansett, Rhode Island. There's a Portland Street Art Association, Alliance, and I think you have that email. It's pdxstreetart.org. And they're all different systems. Some people, you know, they just put up a wall and it's kind of just open. Other places have a permitting system. I believe Portland has a permitting system. They have open hours, some are programmed. So it's really up to the city to do this. But I just would hope that we could, it's a terrible problem. And I would hope that we could think out of the box and try to find some kind of solution. One of the factors that I've heard about that I haven't found any research to verify it, but it was brought up yesterday at Keizer United by former Mayor Lori Christopher, that graffiti artists don't tag existing art. And we have an example of that here in Keizer at the rec center because they have that huge mural, and it certainly has not been tagged. So maybe even the Keizer Art Commission would be an ally in this effort. But Tom can talk a little bit about his original idea, which was to get kids involved, so.
Well, yeah, I originally just said that I would like to see like an 8-foot tall wall, 12 feet long, built out of some kind of material. It could be bricks, blocks, cement blocks. It could be wood, whatever. And set that aside. And I suggested starting off with 1 or 2 parks or half a dozen parks, something like that. Set up this wall where people could come in and express themselves. And it would require some negotiations and bringing people in, and rather than having the city sit there and set the ground rules and you have to conform to this, listen to what these people who are creative would like to be able to do too, and give the ownership to the people, to the artists. And I'm not talking about established or professional recognized artists in the community. I mean, they could be involved too. I mean, everybody's welcome. But I'm talking about people who you may not recognize as being an artist because of the type of tagging or whatever you want to call it, they do. And you know, these pictures here are great art. some of this other stuff may not appear to be great art to you, but you look at the way they do this, these people have talent and they're expressing themselves. And I think that's valuable to let people express themselves in the way they do, and it will evolve. So, you know, in the last few years since I presented that, when I did present it the first time, there's one council member or one Parks Board member who thought, you know, this is something to talk about. Everybody else looked at me like I had horns growing out of my head. But now I lost my train of thought. In looking around, I've identified places in the city that could be utilized for something like this. We got walls around this city compound here, city office compound, that are just blank. And I don't see any reason why they couldn't be decorated in some fashion to bring some interest to it. Just right out here on the skateboard. Some of these skateboarders are really talented athletically. They're inventive, which indicates to me that they could also be very inventive and capable artistically too. They might have some ideas of what they would like to do with the skateboard park. Even the little place out there where you can gather to have picnics or some gatherings of some kind. You could paint the floor of that. Just all kinds of things like that can be done. We've got one building, the rec building down there, that has a mural on it. Why do we need to limit it to that? I've seen places in Portland, in these little local communities. I hate to use the word ethnic community, but maybe that's the best way to do it, because larger cities have different communities. And I've seen painting on the intersections, on the sidewalks, on the storefronts, things like this, that I think add some vibrancy to the community, because the people are involved and they're allowed to express themselves without having the criminal justice system on their back because of it. Now, it would take a lot of publicity. I think you could talk to teachers in the elementary, middle, and high schools, especially the art teachers, who would be able to identify people that they thought might be involved or contribute to this in terms of applying the art. Even talking to the police department, parole people, things like this. A lot of people that run afoul of the law happen to be very inventive, very creative. And it might give them a chance to get involved in the system instead of always being part of the carceral system. So, you know, those are my thoughts. I don't think it's really an unusual or way out idea to entertain. It's not going to be a simple thing. It's not something that you're just going to be able to overnight work it up. But I think doing research and talking to these people that are out here and who might be interested. I have often thought of just going over to talk to the kids when they're skateboarding and ask them if any of them are artists. Would they enjoy, you know, painting the area or something like that, decorating it? And I haven't done it because...
Keep going, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just have a question when you're done.
Okay, I haven't done it because I don't want to get the ball rolling on something and then say, oh, what in the heck were you thinking of? Don't do that. But anyway, go ahead.
So quick question. Is there any data to support that a tagging wall, which I think could be very cool if it's done right, reduces the non-desirable side of that?
I don't believe there is.
Yeah, I don't know. I
mean, I didn't think though, but I didn't know with your research if you found any data that would say, hey, cities like ours where it seems to be getting worse, have done something like that and seen a reduction of X because we've installed these and we've given them an outlet that's organized? That's the question. That would be my question.
Well, I think one of the reasons why something like tagging might be getting worse is because it's considered a non-productive activity. And like I said, the next thing you know, the police and the judicial system is involved and stuff like that. I think that if you allow people to express themselves and they're not penalized for it, then it will evolve. And this is where I'm saying, if you decide that this would be a course of action to take, it's going to take a lot of conversation with people who are identified as taggers, potential artists, teachers, art teachers, things like that, the Art Association, other people from other cities, to lay the groundworks and let the people who are potential artists or taggers have a say in this. And things that are put out there don't have to be permanent. Maybe you could have some areas set aside for a regular rotation where people could come in, and if you have something on a wall and it's, say you should allow it to be there for 90 days before somebody else comes along and does something over that. I think that this stuff that you don't consider to be art would evolve, because these people wouldn't have to do this surreptitiously. They could be out in the open doing it, and they would have the initiative just internally to go from this wild tagging that nobody understands, evolve into something that people do understand, and say, add something to the community rather than detracting.
Agreed.
Okay, Michelle.
Well, we do have this on the agenda under new business, so we are going to have further discussion at that point. Any questions for Tom or Catherine? Or Carolyn? Sorry. Okay, thank you so much for sharing, and we'll have that on the agenda in a few.
Okay, thanks for the time.
Thank you. Rhonda.
Good evening. My name is Rhonda Rich, and I'm here as president of the West Keizer Neighborhood Association, along with Carol Dorfler and Carolyn Homan, board members. And we're here tonight on behalf of West Keizer Neighborhood board members and also the membership in general to thank Debbie Lockhart. Since she only has a couple more days left, we thought this was the opportunity to come in and tell you, Debbie, how much we've appreciated you. Been working with you for 17 years. And the thing about Debbie is she gets things done right away. I know just recently I talked to her about, city manager Adam Brown about getting some information out to our membership. And Debbie put on the calendar kind of a link to our agenda. And I mean, it was done like the next day, or the day before. She's so, she's so efficient and just wonderful to work with. And we're really going to miss her. 2 icons leaving the city here on Thursday is going to be a big change. But thank you, Debbie. And thank you for all you've done for the community and on behalf of the other neighborhood associations and community that you've worked with to make Keizer a better place. Thank you. And these are for you. So thank you.
I have invited Debbie to apply to join the Parks Board, so no pressure.
Seconded.
Perfect, okay. No pressure. We can wait till September. I think that's when the next round is happening, so wonderful.
Oh, Debbie would school us all.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that'd be incredible. Like, this is actually a really good idea. I love everything about that idea.
Anyways, no pressure. Okay. Let's move into new and old business. We have legal graffiti and a tagging wall on the agenda. And I'm going to ask, Debbie, can you share a little bit about this idea, what you found, to start us off in discussion?
Well, I remember Robert talking about how much time staff is spending getting rid of the graffiti all around the city. And I remembered also when Tom came and asked and suggested having the tagging wall. So I contacted him to see if he had any information, and he gave me some, and Carolyn found some too, and I did some research on my own. One of the places that he told me you had one was Corvallis. So I thought, oh, close by. So I emailed Corvallis. Their tagging wall is no longer in operation, but I did talk to their public works director and asked him if he could tell there was any difference in the amount of tagging that was done. And unfortunately, he said no, he could not, that the people who tag aren't the same as the artists who do the walls. But I didn't want to just give it up. I thought, well, maybe more people will research, and that was one city. There may be others where it makes a difference. So I thought it'd be worth a try anyway.
Any other discussion?
I just wanted to make a statement that one of the things that kind of comes to my mind is where the tagging walls are. For instance, I know we have issues at some of the parks, and if you had a wall up maybe at a park where there was a wall available that was specifically for that, if it would remove the stuff that's going on in the bathrooms and on the outside of buildings, just as a different approach possibly, as a thought.
Yeah, as a part of MAC, Men of Action in Keizer, we have a group that try to get on that somewhat, as far as the tagging goes. And so, Robert, I guess this would be a question for you. So what happens when it shows up? Do you guys just get to 911 and get it taken care of, or does a call go out to action? Because with us, it's just merely, hey, I saw it on Wheatland Road, can somebody go take care of it?
Yeah, our staff just gets to it as quick as we can. It goes pretty high to the priority list, and we get out there and get it covered up or removed the best we can. Just depends on where it's at and what it's on. Some things are easy to paint over, some things you can't paint over, some things you can use graffiti remover on, some things we have to get a pressure washer out for. When they tag trees, it gets really challenging because you can't use graffiti remover, and basically we're stuck painting the tree. And then we have to become artists ourselves and make our paint look like bark, which is not all that easy. Yeah, so we just get out there as quick as we can and get it taken care of, but every situation's unique in its own.
Yeah.
So the tagging that we're seeing is not, it's typically affiliated with some kind of illicit activity, correct? And I can tell you categorically, our police are not chasing down people with spray cans and arresting them. They've got far more important things to do in the city of Keizer. If you're interested, I would highly encourage reaching out to our police department and see if you can join the Citizens Police Academy. I think it's probably one of the best tools for people to get an inside look at exactly what's happening in Keizer. That being said, I think there's value in finding creative ways to do urban art or some of those more non-traditional styles of art. I can say that I think that there's plenty of opportunities driving up and down River Road to see if you can find business partners. One of the reasons the Rec was so successful and hasn't been painted over again is because there was that really good relationship that was created there. But looking into, maybe some of the buildings and business owners and property owners that might want to consider doing something like that. I think as it relates to parks, I think that there's a lot of challenges that come with that because parks are generally tucked away, not visible. And I think that you're going to potentially run into some scenarios where it's going to be very, very difficult to enforce. Almost impossible to regulate. The amount of time necessary to have this filter through in my brain, if this was going to be a thing, I would say people come in on a rotational basis to the Public Arts Commission and they ask for this and they do that. But then what happens if somebody has then copyrighted their piece of art and they start to monetize it, does it create a legal situation? I just think there's a tremendous amount of barriers. I think it's a good idea to look at as a concept through the arts, but in parks, I just think it's a use that's not compatible. I think if we got kids playing and you got wind shifting around and kids breathing in paint, it's probably not the best thing. And you don't want to put it like in I mean, my first thought was, okay, well, where are kids not typically going to be? Then you're looking at potentially areas like Wallace House and some of the unimproved areas, maybe at Palmacia, or some of those parks that don't have as much of that kind of traffic. It just gives it a different vibe, maybe a different feel. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of questions that would have to be answered. That, I mean, frankly, I think what we're seeing is more of the, granted, art is in the eye of the beholder, right? But I think somebody throwing up gang graffiti is not necessarily the same as somebody painting an interpretive mural of a pet, right? And I could be wrong on that. Maybe somebody chooses to say that kind of, you know, Bob's Ice Cream Gang is art. I don't know. But I think it needs to be looked at. I don't know that, I don't support it in parks. I just think it's a non-compatible use. And right now, our parks rules wouldn't allow it. It does allow art to a degree, but I think that we'd have to do some work on our parks rules and stuff like that to allow some kind of rotational behavior like that. But those are just kind of my two thoughts on it. Well, multiple than two, anyways, as I was.
I think if I was considering a park, Chalmers would be the one because of just the vibe, I would say. I completely echo some of the safety concerns around spraying. You would have to close certain areas down, which would cause potential issues. I don't feel like Parks Board would be like coordinating all of those efforts. There's a lot of planning. You have to talk to people, like you mentioned, Tom. You have to build the community that's going to do this. It's not me just going out and building something and saying, here you go, because you run into issues of what is considered art and what we can have and what we can't. So that's interesting. I'm more interested in putting illegal graffiti areas like in Temper Tunnel, because it's not forward facing. However, it's not a park area. It's the access tunnel between Gubser neighborhood and Keizer Station. I walk through that tunnel regularly, Monday, Tuesday. It's clean. Over the weekend, at the end of the week, it has stuff on it. So, but it's not as visible. But I think that the studies show that if there's art on it, it's less likely to be tagged. So that's the area that you would see that there would be a benefit to. But as far as alleviating tagging in general, that isn't something that's going to help. But
there's beautiful stuff. I think now that the cows are up, former Mayor Christopher has a new
lease on life
thing to chase down.
Just going to chase. So I would say, I mean, I think that the Arts Commission would be awesome to take the lead on guiding some of this. I also think there's approval process that it would be out of our hands, because if it's just city property like Temper Tunnel, those aren't decisions that we would make.
That's rail, isn't it?
It's city. Well, I think that the city maintains it. I know who maintains it, so. No, not parks. But anyways, I think, I like the idea. However, I think that, and I didn't even know that rule would dictate it not being in the parks.
I mean, that's an amendment to the rules. It wouldn't be like a monumental thing to overcome, but there's great stuff out there. I mean, there's beautiful stuff out there. I don't disagree with Tom. I agree with Tom 100%. There's some beautiful, when we were just back in Hawaii last year, some of the murals and stuff that are just absolutely gorgeous, right? Yeah. That's different than a 13-year-old with a spray can going, right?
Yeah.
Now, maybe he's going to develop, or he or she's going to develop into an amazing artist, but, Right.
Yeah. Okay, I think that concludes our discussion. Moving into our next parks reports.
Manager, I think we need to. I don't want to just drop that with a period, right? Okay. I think that maybe if there's somebody that's willing to go and talk with the Arts Commission on this and just kind of share the idea, because I want to be responsive to what we heard from Carolyn and Tom. I think there's value in what they said. But, you know, I am not an art person at all. I wear a burgundy shirt with gray pants. My color coordination skills are not happening. But if somebody would be willing to go and talk to, Lisa's laughing, that's okay. If somebody would be willing to go and bring up this idea from a perspective of somewhat more educated perspective on art, that'd be great. From this board, if somebody's willing to do that. I just think, I don't want to just drop it and have Tom come back in 3 years and say, okay, I'm here for the third time. Because it is important, and I do value his time and Carolyn's time as well, just coming up and saying it, so.
I appreciate that. Is there any, I do not have an artistic bone in my body. Do I want to? Yes. And however, I feel like is there someone that's really interested in taking the lead to go to the Arts Commission and just run the idea, or even email to bring this topic up?
You know, if it's just email, I'll take it.
Well, I was gonna say the same
If
thing.
you wanna do it,
If
take
there
it.
was an artistic person, great, but if not,
Well, I'm not that kind of artistic, but
Okay.
but I'll talk. I will maybe email or find out from you when they meet, and then maybe talk to them.
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
It's next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Okay.
Tom, would you be,
Okay.
would you be willing to potentially join as a part of that presentation, Tom? Yeah. Okay. That might be helpful, because then there's commitment from community, not just the parks. So, sweet, and if you can't, then let me know.
No, I don't see any reason why I can't. I really don't know.
Wonderful. Okay, well, and then if you can share out
Yep,
next month?
absolutely.
Awesome. That works. Thank you. Okay, parks reports. I'll go first. Country Glen, I sent some pictures. It was a while ago, Robert. The step is a little bit higher. There was some missing bark. And then I'm noticing at Country Glen and at Bob Newton that the black containment thing are getting wonky and like spilling over. Do you guys have a plan for how to reinforce those? So I noticed it at Country Glen also.
Yeah, we made a repair to,
Okay.
there was one that was broken, so we replaced it. They're just getting aged.
Yeah.
And so they're starting to get some waviness to them.
Okay.
Both of those parks, we plan to replace the play structures here in the near future, next 2 to 5 years, I'll say. So hopefully we can get those replaced before they completely fail.
Got
I'll
it.
just say that.
Good. And they're in good working order, but I'm just noticing like they're giving away a little
They don't
bit.
look as good as they
Yeah.
used to.
That's what I thought. And then Mike Whittam, it looked good. There was something noted, like trash or something next to one of the residents' homes, right next to the neighborhood entrance. It was something I just saw today, but I didn't know if, anyways, that was the only thing that I noticed that was out of place. Other than that, it's there. The garden looks fantastic, lots of great color. And obviously the ground cover needs to be cleaned up, but for the most part, the garden looked great too, even though that's not Parks' responsibility. Awesome. Gwen,
Yes. Claggett Creek is looking really good. Tammy and Jackie go there daily and give reports and clean up with the grandkids over there. There's a little bit of graffiti over there. You're probably aware of that. But otherwise, it's really, really clean. Even the bathrooms are so clean and everything too. Then there's Ben Miller. I was over there seeing the new playground, and I talked to some people that were there with their kids, and I asked them, "How do you like the new equipment and new playground?" And they said, "We love it." And the little kids were jumping up and down, saying, "We love it, we love it, we love it," and giving me high fives.
Oh.
I mean, they were little, and they were just so happy. They were just so happy with it. So, and there was really, I noticed there's like barricade, what is it called? Chain link fencing, like laying down and stuff. Is that going to be going all the way around the park, or is it going to be moved
That was construction fencing that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is going to be removed very soon.
Oh,
I've actually
okay, okay,
requested it to be
okay.
removed twice, so hopefully very soon.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
David.
Honest House and Meadows look impeccable as usual.
Katie?
Ryan J looks great. I think I've asked this before. Is that water feature ever functional ever again? No, okay. I thought I had asked that before, but I couldn't remember, but it looks great. And then. Air fountain. Yeah, right. It's an air fountain? Okay, I like that.
Desert water feature.
And Northridge is Northridge, but yeah, no, Ryan J is great. I love that. Actually, I love that little park. It's great. It's good.
Lisa?
Palmacia Park looks fantastic. Somebody, I don't know if it's a parks worker or if it is a community member, has gone and tucked the blackberry and the ivy that is starting to grow across the path down to the river, and they've tucked it back and clipped some of it. I've seen community members with their own personal clippers take care of paths before, so it could be a community member doing a lovely public service. It could be a parks worker. Either way, it makes it a lot easier to get down to the water. And it looks wonderful, as always. I usually see somebody there.
That's good.
Unless I'm there when it's really early. Willamette Manor has, one of the fences has the white privacy in the chain link, and that has been tagged several times. It's been painted over, and unfortunately, because it's white plastic privacy stuff, whatever is painted over, it bleeds through. So now it's the ghost of graffiti. And so there's that. In the playground, I don't know the technical term for those little spinny seats. We called them vominators because the kids, when the kids were little, that was kind of the goal. But there was one that didn't have a seat and just had a cone, and that's been replaced. That's wonderful. Nice. And on the 4th of July, or maybe early on the 5th, that great big oak limb. See, notice I did the whole tree identification upgrade, yes, fell, and thankfully that's the only large oak tree that did not have a picnic table under it. So the other two have picnic tables, new picnic tables that look beautiful. This one it just fell. I'm glad nobody was there. And I didn't do a poll. Unlike Gwen, I do not usually talk to people if I can help it. So there's that. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my take on Willamette Manor. It looks good. It's always mowed. There's not a lot of, I never see people leaving a lot of garbage. I wish the graffiti would go away. Yeah. But I think that I could say just about every person listening, every person here thinks the same thing. So there's that.
Okay, Keizer Rapids Park.
It may be fixed now, but I had my grandkids over there a couple weeks ago, and one of the clips for the disability swing in the toddler area was missing. So you couldn't clip all of the safety harnesses. So it may have been fixed already, but I did notice that, and so just something to maybe check on.
Lisa?
I'm just giving
notes.
I'm giving everybody else a chance to talk. All right, on the 5th of July, there was a ton of firework debris down on the boat dock. So, I didn't see scorch marks. They just, there was somebody took a whole ton of fireworks stuff down there, set it off, left it there. So there was that. And there is, I've talked, again, I'm not great at talking to people and I don't always get their names. If they have a dog with them, I usually get their dog's name. But Very nice person working for Public Works who gets to hike pretty much daily to take care of the tagging on the trails because somebody decides to write on the asphalt. So there's that. And it's nice, he gets out, he moves around. And the last thing is the points of interest signs about the flooding and all of that. There's a lot of sun and weather damage on those. How do we get those fixed? I mean, because that was a points of interest thing. It's not really, I don't know that it's a parks thing, and points of interest has disbanded.
It's a great question. We've had that discussion before. We have a lot of signs that have experienced weather damage.
Yeah.
They crack. Had some conversations with sign makers, and a lot of times when a certain material is laminated to steel, it gets hot and then it quickly gets cold. And then the next day it gets hot again, and it just goes through a lot of weather, and it expands and retracts and eventually just starts to crack. So I don't know. We need to take a fresh approach of all of the signs pretty much at Keizer Rapids that have ever been built and possibly remake them.
Okay. It was a question. I mean, a couple of people had come up,
Yeah.
you know.
Kind of looks like a weathered map.
Well, it does.
Kind of
I
crackly.
mean, yeah.
Almost looks like it's on purpose at a distance
Right,
until
it
you
looks
get
like
closer.
a
you're like,
crackle, like a crackle
Yeah.
finish, like the 80s, but no. No.
What is the plan for the back or the entrance by the Frisbee golf? I saw that you've got like a cord, wire cord, and then like a sign. Is there going to be something more permanent that's
Yeah,
going
we're
to be?
going to move the old original state gate that's up towards the front
Okay.
to the back.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a rather large project that we'll be
Okay.
doing in the next 2 months.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else for Keizer Rapids? Okay, staff report, Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for pointing out a few things I was going to talk about, but we did have a really large tree limb fall at Willamette Manor Park. Actually was down there today helping the guys get that cut up so we can continue to mow the grass around there, but the limb itself was the size of a medium oak tree. It was pretty impressive. When we were running the chainsaws through, I was like, wow, I have a 20-inch bar and I'm not reaching the other side of this limb. So,
Huge.
but we'll get that cleaned up and plan on having tree service come out and taking a look at the tree just to assess its overall health, and then taking a fresh look at just all the trees in the park while they're there. Just, we try to put eyes on them the best we can, and unfortunately that was one of the trees that experienced a lot of damage during the ice storm, and so it kind of had some shreddiness to it already. I hate taking out oak trees because they take forever to grow, so we try to keep them in as long as we can, as long as we feel they're healthy. So we got to take another fresh look at that one. It's possible that it might be recommended. We just have to cut it down, unfortunately. So we'll see what happens. Splash Fountain has been open. We're running it Wednesday through Sunday, noon to 7. So encourage anybody to come out and run through that. If you have kids or grandkids, bring them by. It's always a fun feature. Ben Miller Park is open. We still have fencing up. Don't know why it's still there. I've made multiple calls to the contractor who was installing it. It's through a rental company. It sounds like the rental company has not been coming to retrieve it. So I'm trying to put some pressure under them to come get that out, because it's kind of the one thing that people are drive by and they're like, is it open? Is it not open? Like, they can access it, but they're still part of a fence up. So it kind of looks kind of funny. But the park is open. Getting a lot of good feedback, like Gwen said, and just look forward to watching, kids come back into that park and really enjoy it again, because the toy that was there was old and small and kind of boring. So hopefully we made some improvements on that. I know accessibility improved a lot. There's a sidewalk that connects the two streets together.
Nice.
So ADA access is there. So I think it just overall turned out really, really nice, really clean. Kind of good upgrade to the park. So we are going to continue to do some landscape work there over the next month or so. We were able to do some dirt work and put some seed down, but we still have some landscape berms and tree circles and things we want to kind of fancy up. So expect to see some additional improvements throughout the summer. And then, yeah, graffiti, it just continues at Keizer Rapids, Claggett, Willamette. It is a lot of what appears to be gang graffiti. Certain letters and certain numbers, certain streets. We're even getting tagged with streets that aren't even in Keizer. It's Salem, carryover. It's really annoying. We have this particular one that keeps coming back at Keizer Rapids that is beyond frustrating. Yeah, we just keep doing what we can, but I mean, we're spending a lot of man hours tackling this stuff right now, a lot. So, until we can get it to stop, we have to keep covering it up. And that's all I got.
Okay. Council liaison report. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, Chair Hamilton. How are you tonight?
Good.
Good. Just a couple of things. There is a place on the website where you can record tagging that you see, and there's a link there. It asks you the user to attach pics, is what it says, attach pictures. But if you try to attach more than one, it won't let you do it. So I don't know if that's something that somebody needs to give a little bit of attention to. I checked with some of the people with Keizer Men of Action, and they said that if you just put one picture in at a time, it will take them. So there must be a little something that needs to be adjusted on the website so it will take the additional pictures at the same time. So that would be good to do. And then just again, a big thank you to the Keizer Rotary for all the work they did with the picnic tables. Those are great. I see a lot of people using them, and it's good to have good equipment to use. And again, thank you, all of you, for what you do. It makes our job as counselors a lot easier, and volunteers is what keeps Keizer going. So thank you.
Great. Other business? Yeah.
I just had a quick question. Robert, since we're out of Debbie's bark chips, pretty much, Northview sinking again at the playground. We did that bark chip project up there at Northview Tiers a couple years, or what was that, year ago, 2 years ago. We brought all the kids in, we added some more. It's sunk probably about another 3 inches, particularly under the swings. How do we get more if we want to do another project up there?
I just generally order them.
Okay.
But if you wanted to do a project, I can arrange that. We can work together on it.
Probably fall when I can get students, but yeah. I was just up there, actually after the birthday celebration out here, Father's Day weekend, we went up there and checked it out and noticed it had dropped quite a bit. But since nobody talked about the birthday celebration, it was pretty cool. A lot of people out here playing and having fun, and pretty good opportunity to see some people dance that you wouldn't normally want to watch dance, and I don't ever want to see again. So there was that. And they had a lot of great activities out here in Chalmers Jones, and yeah, it was pretty cool. We went a little bit Friday night, and then went a little bit Saturday night out in the park, and there was lots to do. So it was a pretty well put together event. People coming and going, and just kind of a great use of our park. Good job, Counselor.
Just a trashy Tuesday announcement. Mark your calendar. Next Tuesday, July 18th, we're at Ryan J. Hill. Meet at the Target parking lot closest to probably In-N-Out, and then they'll head over 5:30 to 6:30. So if you want to do your part, show up, pick some trash up. And Jenny's, she's awesome. So the environmental team and who they get to come and volunteer is always it's a good group of people. So if you want to help out, next Tuesday, the 18th, 5:30 to 6:30. Katie, are you good to go? She's going to do our board report, and we are adjourned 7:03. Boom.